Hello and welcome to the Pocket Gamer Awards 2021. In a year of the absolute worst things happening, we're going to bring you a little slice of the best. My name's James Gilmore. Over here is Dan Sullivan. Say hello, Dan.
Hello, Dan.
I can hear you. This is good. We're just doing sound checks live on stage because that's how we do things.
Why not?
Professionally. This is the first time we've done this. You may have seen some of our Launchpad events over the past, I guess, few months, which have been appearing on Twitch, appearing on YouTube and other places as well. It's been a lot of fun, but we've been doing awards for a while and we thought it was about time we showed them to you guys live. So this is it. And I say you guys because this is all your fault, isn't it, Dan?
It is entirely audience, participation driven, this whole thing. None of this is my fault. You can't pin it on me.
No, that's our line and we're sticking to it. So we should probably break down what the awards cover. Clearly, if you're not familiar with us at all and you're seeing this somewhere embedded on Twitch, then we're Pocket Gamer. We do mobile stuff. This is our mobile gaming centric site. Every channel we talk about basically anything that fits in your pocket and can play games. I should have caveated that.
Otherwise it's like a banana, or you could probably put a sausage in your pocket.
Yeah,
I don't know why you would.
Listen, if it plays Genshin Impact, it gets covered. That's it. I'm easy. I'm an easy sell. But we do want to stress that this is an award ceremony that is kind of created, sculpted, and voted for by you folks.
With one exception.
Well, yes. Well, yeah,
the
right.
Hall of Fame.
We will get to the Hall of Fame in a little bit. But just very quickly, break down, how is it that the nominations appeared and the categories got voted on and all that? You're more au fait with this than me.
So what we did is we put out a list of categories that we had selected. And we asked for people to write in and let us know which games they felt best represented those categories over the last 12 and a bit months. And people sent in their messages, they sent in their replies, and we looked through that list. We took the ones that have received the most votes, and we added them into the voting nomination sheet that's then been running for the last probably just over a month, I'd say.
That's
and
right.
It's the winners from that sheet that have brought us here today.
So what we're saying is, if there's any contention over any of these nominations, if you think that one shouldn't have won, that's ridiculous. It's not us. We didn't choose this. This is all you guys, which has prompted some really interesting nominations and some winners that were we could have seen coming a mile away, and some other ones that were that's really interesting. They're taking the pulse of the world and seeing what they're playing is not necessarily always online with, all the stuff that's loaded onto my phone, for example. So we're going to be here for a little bit. There are a number of categories, quite a number of them. Some of them will be faster than others, but all of them are going to be exciting and interesting and feature a little bit of footage because we've got to show you the winners, because otherwise, why are we here? What's the point of all this? Obviously, we are sponsored by Red Magic today. We're brought to you in association with the Red Magic 6 series. We'll show you a little bit of what that is all about. A brand new trailer of their new device has just dropped, or will be dropping literally kind of in an hour or so. So we're pretty much premiering it. That's how I'm framing it anyway. So we've got a bunch of stuff to show you, plus maybe a little bit about Wild Rift if we've got some time. But should we just get this thing going? Start the first category?
Let's get rolling.
All right then. We're beginning with platform games. So traditionally, there's been some tricky genres to get right on mobile. One of which has been first-person shooters, the other of which has been platformers, mainly because of controls. Do you think they've gotten better over time, Dan? Or
I think what's happened is that platforming games have changed. It's we've still got our Marios, but look, even Mario's gone into 3D for the most case.
It's gone into 3D and auto-runner-ish on mobile as well.
That's it. And now we've got auto runners which fall under this category, and obviously we've suddenly recently had a resurgence in the cinematic platformer games like Prince of Persia, where you had those long over animated jumps and things like Abe's Exodus and Abe's Odyssey as well. So
yes, there's been a few this year that I've been playing, but we're all about what you've been playing. So the best platformer of 2021 on mobile, the nominations are Bomb Chicken, Cookies Must Die, Daddish, Levelhead, Little Orpheus, Ministry of Broadcast, Pixboy, Brocat Jumper, Superfouls 2, Swap Swap Panda. A strong lineup there, I'm sure you will agree. I just like the fact that there's a chicken jumping around and some pandas too.
Yeah, it's brilliant. There's a little bit of everything for everyone.
Provided you like small furry creatures. All right then, I know what I like, but this is about what you like. The winner is... Little Orpheus. Sorry, we're still there. Yeah, we go. There we are. Dan was chiming in with some excellent information. I was like, you can't see the video because only I can. What were you saying? Tell me the exciting thing you were saying.
Yeah, so there we are with the cinematic platformers.
Yeah.
They're back, and with these larger screens we have now and better controls, we're seeing these games that not only deliver on those classic platforming moments, but also deliver a solid narrative as well. And Little Orpheus really does.
It's legit impressive. It's an Apple Arcade game, so you need to have the service to be able to get access to it. But it plays like really well, and it has got that nice mixture of, yes, it's not trying to be super necessarily complex or like the most difficult game in the world, but it's guiding you through, not completely by the hand, but there's definitely a flow to it. You feel yourself being propelled forwards, and some of the situational changes, like the environments they put you in, the little kind of set pieces. There's one with a dinosaur you saw a tiny clip of. It's good stuff. We were really, really impressed. So a solid win there for Little Orpheus. Let's go something a bit more serious. Let's go simulation. I always associate simulation with serious stuff. I associate it with sitting there working out exactly what size wing mirrors I need for my truck to make my long haul trip across Europe. Is that just me?
No, that's exactly how I view the simulation. So, no, it's a weird one because there are now so many more simulation games, and for a while they were almost all parodies of the simulation genre. Like you had things like House Flipper and Surgeon Simulator, and all of a sudden there were physics games coming into it. And now it's such a wide genre, and other things have broken off as well, like Tycoon and Management tend to not be lumped into simulation, and you wouldn't put Theme Park in there nowadays.
No, which is weird because in the back of my head that's still kind of a sim game.
Yeah, exactly. That was like the parent of it all.
Right, it's become a lot more niche. But let's check out what you folks chose for Best Simulation 2021 on mobile. 112 Operator, Bio Inc. Redemption, Aconia, Evil Hunter Tycoon, Football Manager 2021, Harvest Town, Interloper, Mud Runner, Startup Panic, Transport City Truck Tycoon. You mentioned Tycoon there, and there it is. Although that Startup Panic one, I did a little coverage on that, and that was really interesting to me, trying to basically, everyone's got a startup, everyone's an entrepreneur now, and now you can do it virtually as well, if you want. Sounds like a lot of work to me.
No, why not escape from your real life entrepreneurial efforts by playing a video game entrepreneurial effort?
I'm getting stressed just thinking about it. Let's see what the winner was. Transport City Truck Tycoon. Ooh, see now the transport. I was talking about trucks earlier, and that was maybe the more sim truck. I was thinking Euro Truck Simulator because that's where my brain always goes. That wouldn't be a good game to play on mobile, but this one really ticks some boxes for people, I guess.
So it would seem it's not one that I've actually dabbled with. While I did recognise a couple of the other names that were in there.
Yeah, no, it's a steady list, and I think you have to have. We're getting congratulations in the chat already. You have to have a particular, I guess, brain for it. Not necessarily everyone's into it. I think it's much more of a niche genre, although it's getting a lot more coverage with things like the what was the big plane one, Microsoft Flight Sim,
Flight Sim, yeah,
that was huge. That made such an impact, and really that was what I would associate as being, when I was a kid, like a dad game,
Yeah, definitely. I used to work in retail, and we always had in the sales section, there was always like bus driving simulator and all a forklift operator and all of these. And like I said, back then there was this big movement to parody things, but it all seems to be settling down now.
That's super niche. Like bus driving, yeah, cool. All right.
The bloke who used to drive the bus that took me to work, he came in and bought the bus driving game. So
I'm trying to work out whether that's... Yeah, too much. I want to escape, not do it virtually, but maybe practice. Although, why does he need practice? This has opened a whole can of worms. I'm not sure about it. Anyway, let's move on to something active. Sports game. I say active. This is an excuse to not play real sports, isn't it? To play a sports game, I suppose. But more and more now, the sports game on mobile have been impressive, to the point where there was a year at the BAFTAs where like New Star Soccer won and FIFA didn't. And that was a huge upset to see a sort of BAFTA taken away from what would be considered AAA studio for a small developer. But it's made a real impact. And I don't play loads of sports stuff myself. I should caveat this with. But some of the more lightweight stuff, and I'm thinking of things like Rumble Soccer and things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Works really nicely on mobile. You get that flick, you get that pull back and release.
Yeah, the touch controls can really give you a satisfying like Subutio replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Works really, really nicely. So, let's see what the nominations are. Best sports game. Basket Trio. Shahura Soccer. Crux, a climbing game. Football Manager 2021. Golf in 60 Seconds. Grand Mountain Adventure. Neo Ball. Retro Bowl. Rowdy City Wrestling. Rumble Hockey. Rumble Hockey there, one of the ones I did play. Yeah, I've got friends who are massively more sort of into the genre of it all. I've also seen them getting into the sports sim games where not full Football Manager, but ones which have a management element to them. Do you deal with the management stuff, or do you prefer to play the game?
As I say on every stream, you give me a game that simulates a spreadsheet and I am there. You know, I am the guy that goes, oh, I don't know, if his attacking stat was a little bit higher, then he might be able to, so I can adjust the positioning of the, that's me. I very much like that side of things. That said, a lot of these sports games, things like Crux and Rowdy City Wrestling, I've spent a lot of time playing over the last year or so.
It's also been another way to get some multiplayer in people's lives, with everyone being disconnected. Any chance to meet up and get involved. People saying, don't forget Golf Clash. There's loads of good ones people popping up within the chat, and it's absolutely true. However, there can only be one winner. Let's find out who it is. Retro Bowl. Another one for the New Star team. That's come off of the back of the New Star Soccer lot. They have done something that looks incredibly retro and lo-fi. Like, could not be more lo-fi. The video that we got that was captured, like, I couldn't make that look any more high-res. It wasn't possible because that's what was available. But it's not about that. It's about the way that they've implemented the mechanics, and it's about the behind-the-scenes game of it all. And they've just got a formula that works really, really well on mobile. And people seem to have gone for it. In a world of FIFAs, they've gone, no, this is the one. So fair play to them. Now then, moving away from sports, perhaps you're not a sporty person, perhaps you prefer a bit of story. Best narrative game. This is very much my jam. I like, and I don't mean I just like enjoy text adventures, but I like games which have a story which give you a reason to do the things that you're doing. I say that, you're a text adventure guy, aren't you?
I have played a lot of text adventures over the years, and there's been a lot of stuff through like Inkle and through the Choice of Games engine that they've released, where almost anyone can pick up and write and develop a really kind of big and beefy story filled with choices, and it's fun. It's like when you used to get the old, choose your own adventure books. Yes, which I'm not ashamed to say I have played. Those are good. Yeah, there's a rich history in those. There's a lot of people in the games industry now that were important back then. Yeah. And it ties into the RPG stuff as well, where it's all big and story based. I'm playing Pillars of Eternity. It's a lot of talking and writing in it. But let's focus on the mobile for the time being. The nominations for Best Narrative Game 2021 are Alba, a Wildlife Adventure. Far Lone Sails. Interrogation Deceived. Little Misfortune. Orwell, Keeping an Eye on You. Summer of Memories. The First Tree. The Pathless. There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension. Unmemory.
personally played a bunch of Far Lone Sails out of that lot.
Yeah, it's a great like moody setting,
Mm.
a bit grim, but you know,
Yeah,
just the whole like end of the world thing. I think there's enough of that going on outside my window, you know.
I know what you
But
mean. Does it in a pretty way though. The ship looks cool. We like the look of it.
and what's interesting about the votes that came in for this category is that once again this is an instance where we can say it was the audience, not us. Is we've got a mix of people who take that narrative from things that are just purely environmental without words. We've got people who have taken things that are entirely like word driven or voice driven, and we've got classic point and click adventures, which obviously used to be called like uh graphic adventure games
Yeah.
or yeah, exactly, mixed in there back when it was like, oh, are you playing that adventure game in text adventure or in graphic adventure? And it's like, oh, it's got visuals, it's a graphic game. But that's what we've got here in this lineup, which is pretty amazing.
The peak of technology then. No, it's got pictures now as well.
It's got pictures now, yeah.
All right then.
They
Well,
can even move.
let's see which this one's got pictures, I'm sure of it. Let's see what the winner of Best Narrative Game 2021 is. There is no game, wrong dimension. A really interesting postmodern one that I have played a bit, and it's a game which is kind of constantly telling you to do the opposite of what it's telling you to do. Which sounds confusing when I say it, and is confusing when you play it. But it's clever, it's interesting. It came over from PC originally and appeared on mobile this year. We should mention, by the way, that if you see some older games in this, the reason it's been, part of the 2021 awards is because it's appeared on Android or iOS this year. So that's why it gets bundled in, apart from like a couple of categories where it's like stuff we've been playing for ages. Yeah. But yeah, that's a really, really interesting one to go and look at. There is no game. It's kind of mental. There are links, by the way, that we throw in the chat. So if there is anything we talk about that you're interested in, you can go over and find links to the game and possibly information about it over on pocketgamer.com, where you can find all of this stuff, really. But they should just be going there all the time, shouldn't they, Dan?
Shouldn't they? They should. They should.
Yes.
It should be the homepage.
Exactly. I should replace Google. So let's go to something speedy. Quick play game. Now, hyper games, hyper casual. That's a phrase that got bandied around a lot over the past couple of years. Publishers like Voodoo and whatnot creating these games that have loops so small that you can kind of complete them within like 8 seconds, and then you just keep going and going and going. And I think they became for a lot of people these fiercely addictive little distractions.
Yeah, I've seen these called like a dozen different names, and nobody's really agreed on one, which is why we went with quick play here. But kind of like nobody goes, oh, I'm rooting to get a new hyper casual game, No. So, exactly. But they are these quick games with like not even like a second long loop, which is normally just one button interaction. If you're watching adverts, it's normally giving you some sort of a cosmetic upgrade rather than actually giving you some sort of in-game, currency or whatever. So. And there's not normally any microtransactions. You just have to sit through the ads, and it's a really weird evolution of what happens when you can reward people for watching ads in games.
Yeah, it's part of that new model, like entirely ad funded because people don't like paying, and that's led to this thing which has proved again around the world globally insanely popular. But there are also kind of regular standard games that just have very, very fast cycles, and people like to pick them up for 60 seconds and put them down. So there's a fair selection. In fact, let's have a look at it. Here are the nominations. Balanced Stuff, Cluster Duck, Gumslinger, Hello Pet House, Kingscape, Paco Caravan, Robotics, Shooty Quest, Spaghetti Arms, Sword Shot. I've played a few of them. I think I know what the winner is, and I think it's the one I've played the most by sheer coincidence on this one.
Well, you'd hope, wouldn't you, really?
Well,
that it would be the one with the most compulsive.
Yeah.
But let's see what the audience thought.
All the most entertaining characters involved. Let's see what one, shall we? Cluster Duck. So, if you haven't played it, it's a game where you kind of have to breed ducks, and then when there are too many ducks, you push them into a black hole where they disappear into the inky dark for eternity. And then
And
the rest of them get hairdos.
and sometimes weird mutant things come out of the hole.
Yeah, it's
And
a weird
put
one.
them in there too. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because it's all based on RNG. So if you have a certain amount of ducks or certain types of ducks moving around, then they create a chance to create a new hybrid. And there's all sorts of weird and wonderful hybrids. But you're really just leaving this thing open and occasionally binning the odd duck to tweak the colony.
Yeah, it's the binning that I found most entertaining, where you're just like picking them up and do I just drop? Oh,
Oh, it's Marjorie from accounting. Goodbye. Oh,
the duck killer with the weird hair. But check it out. It's genuinely, it's cool. It's way more interesting than I was expecting it to be, and a lot of fun. So congratulations to them again. Links in the chat for all the winners. So best mobile conversion. We're always talking about this on the show, on the site, and the podcast. Is how do you bring a console or a PC game onto a touchscreen without it being terrible?
yeah.
Because it's happened a lot, and a lot of them have been terrible. Because for me, the number one thing is the controls. Where do you fall on this?
No, it's very much the controls, especially if something's coming over from consoles. Because on PC, you're used to having remapping keys, and while on modern consoles, you generally have that in there. Historically, on older consoles, it was almost a race to get the most amount of buttons onto a controller for a while, and so when you ported over games that were on the original Xbox, where they suddenly introduced a white and black button next to the ABXY, nobody knew what to do. And so when you are porting these across, you have to rebuild the UI to take into consideration these things. And you want to do it without having to reprogram these buttons away into the abyss. So, what do you do?
Everyone just tends to spaff them all onto the front of the screen, and then they go, "But I've only got these two thumbs now. I can't use all these." So what? It's just terrible.
Well, you got to use nose.
Yeah, you got to do the old Monster Hunter when Monster Hunter was on the PSP. Monster Hunter 2, the claw. Where you had to do the nub and the D-pad. It was
when they did the 3DS. They released a little add-on, and you had to sit like this, so you could swimming. You had to angle with this claw or your elbow, and then you could.
It was bad news. We don't recommend it. However, here is a list of nominations who've done it well. Best mobile conversion. The nominations are Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, Crying Suns, Dead Cells, Far Lone Sails, Kingdom Two Crowns, Neverwinter Nights Enhanced, Slay the Spire, Star Wars KOTOR 2, SteamWorld Quest. Not gonna lie, nice to see Knights of the Old Republic in there.
I know, right?
It's like the oldest game.
I've got a couple of games in here that I play more on mobile now than I did on their original iteration, because they all managed to get the controls across so much better. And things like Crying Suns, for instance, just taking that whole thing touchscreen and using it, and it had this tactical top-down view, and it felt like in the old hacker movies where you're fully interacting with a screen. It's great.
The old hacker movies, like Hackers.
Yes, Hackers.
On Prime now, I think. Go and check it out. It's hilarious. Let's see if you chose correctly and chose Knights of the Republic 2. Let's find out. And the winner is Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. This got a lot of love this year, to the point where we actually had an interview with the creator on the last Launchpad. We had a big bunch of stuff, him telling us all about it, the kind of spiritual successor to Castlevania, which has actually performed very nicely on mobile, and people have gone for it. So fair play to them, and congratulations. Now, Apple Arcade. For those of you who don't like free-to-play at all and are not interested whatsoever in paying for cosmetic upgrades, Apple Arcade swooped in as a subscription service for $5 a month to give you a whole bunch of premium games that are themselves exclusive to the platform. Do you think this has been a successful move on Apple's part, or
I do, and I feel like for a long time they were looking at creating more premium experiences, and by making these partnerships that they've made, they have brought a lot more games to mobile that otherwise wouldn't have maybe made it over. It is frustrating sometimes to not see these games on other platforms, but that's part and parcel of that funding system. And it is weird to talk about exclusives again after, other platforms spent so long talking about that. But
Yeah.
there are some really great games in here.
There is good stuff, and sometimes they've come from other platforms as well. You'll wind up with the odd PC game or something appearing, but it likely won't be an Android, and it's a source of contention on the channel whenever we cover them, because they're like, I've got an Android, I can't play this. Sorry, it's not our fault. We didn't make them. So the nominations for Best Apple Arcade Game are A Monster's Expedition, Alba, A Wildlife Adventure, Legend of the Skyfish 2, Little Orpheus, Round Guard, Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, Slash Quest, Spider, The Last Campfire, The Pathless. The Pathless was another one that came in for a lot of love, but I played Spider. I quite liked that.
I remember you playing Spider on the YouTube channel. It did look like you were enjoying yourself there.
The puzzly aspect of it is good, but mainly he's very cute. The little mechanical spider who can climb up surfaces and fire things over and swing and propel and there's a lot of nice, neat stuff going on in that game. Very visually tight, but also the controls are fun and the scale of it all, because you are playing this tiny little thing and everybody and the environments are these gigantic, labyrinthine mazes to explore. When you climb up a bookshelf or something, each book is the size of a mountain and but mostly cute. I like the cuteness. Anything you went for in that list?
I really enjoyed The Last Campfire from Hello Games. I thought it was just a really nice exploration puzzle game, basically. Just good fun to sit down for a couple of hours and just work your way through the levels.
It is. It's quite nice and chill. We've already got people guessing, saying Samurai Jack might be the one. Yes, by all means, throw your guesses if you think you know who it's going to be. But let's disavow you of any misapprehensions. The winner, Best Apple Arcade Game, is Alba, A Wildlife Adventure. A really sweet game, that one. I played a lot of it because it was reviewed, and I know Jupiter reviewed it, Pocket Gamer writer, and she was very glowing about it as well. It was her review that I read out, and just the picture taking aspect of it, which is kind of fun because it uses the accelerometer to just capture images, but also there's that background save conservation, slightly anti-capitalist in a slightly let's get kids at a young age.
That's what I'm here for. So any game that's got anti-capitalist stuff in it, I'm right there. I've been playing another game recently about going around islands and collecting up litter to save an island.
Oh yeah.
Brilliant. Can't get enough of those games. Let's do it.
Something very calming and soothing about that. Regardless of what you think of the message, which is a good message, but whatever. People that whole start with something messy or disorganized and then gradually organize and arrange. They can be very soothing, calming Zen experiences. They may not be edge of the seat excitement, but they lower the heart rate in times of stress.
Definitely. And it's a beautiful looking game, and the wildlife element, of it is lovely. So.
And I took a picture of a goat's butt. So for me, game of the year.
Keep it classy, James.
Speaking of classy, educational game. And so,
that was good. Wow. People are going to think we rehearsed.
Yeah, no, there's no danger of that. So, edutainment stuff, which I know for a lot of people is a dirty word, and a lot of people don't necessarily look to educational games as what shall I play this evening? A bit more Fortnite, jump on PUBG? No, I'm going to learn things. People tend to go, it sounds like work. But it's all about how you do it. As with anything, if you can find the right delivery mechanism, if you can do it in a way that is fun, if you can do it in a way that's informative, and you don't really realize you're getting information, that's kind of the trick for me. I can't remember if there was anything when I was a kid that stealth taught me anything. I'm not sure GTA counts.
Yeah, I mean, I could hotwire a car in under 3 minutes now. So
I'm not sure if that's a skill so much it is a liability, but yeah. Well, let's see what you folks liked. So the nominations for Best Educational Game are Dish Life, the game, Keys and Kingdoms, Pirate's Treasure Hunt, Pokemon Smile, Ruffy the Husky, On Ice. Ruffy the Husky. I want to play that on the basis of the name alone.
There seems to have been some sort of. I'm just going to interrupt here.
Ooh.
There seems to have been some sort of an issue on the site, actually, that I've just flagged with our technical team.
Oh, yeah.
I just called it in because there were a few more titles actually listed for nomination.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can shout them if you like. Educate me
I
about
can
the missing
try and
educational
find them.
games.
Give me one moment. We're doing this live, James.
Yes, nice. See, we're pulling information from the Pokémon site, which you should visit because usually it's full of accurate information.
Yes, I'm just going to hack into the mainframe. 1 second.
That's all right. You do that. In the meantime, we will reveal the winner and we'll double back to educate you about those educational games. But we do have the winner, and the winner is Dish Life, the game. Did take a look at this one. I thought I hadn't played any of the educational ones, but yeah, science. This is all about science and dragging stems into petri dishes and mixing and messing them around, and it does it in a fun, neat, like kind of well-presented sort of way, and it does sneakily give you additional bits of information about real science without you knowing.
I can confirm now, having spoken with HQ and looked down the list, that the game that was missing from the nominations sheet or missing from the nominations page on the website at the moment, or that will be fixed shortly, was in fact Dish Life. So
there you go.
There you go. And yeah, it turns out,
the winner.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. I played it. It's a little bit simulation. It's a little bit educational, and it teaches you all of the terminology and phrasing as you work through the game as well, which is pretty cool if you were thinking of ever getting into that area of science,
which I think we should be obviously presenting to children as much as humanly possible, because you can't get all your information from Angry Birds. That's going to create a whole generation of people who thinks that all seagulls are inherently hostile, that way that Jaws ruined the boomers and they don't go in the sea anymore. You've seen them.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, let's talk strategy. Best strategy game. Now, whether it's turn-based or it's RTS or whatever it is, this stuff tends to work really well on mobile. The touchscreen has been one of the best things for strategy games to appear, because you don't have to worry about that mouse placement and moving pointers around. You can just go there, and you lot drag here. And that tactility has been a real boon, not just for the converted games that have come across, things like Total War, but for the games that were built for the system. Do you dabble or do you not?
I play a lot of strategy games. I think that implementing touchscreen into strategy games is absolutely fantastic. Not going to make another reference to hackers. They already, get enough of my time. But, there are some strategy game experiences which are absolutely fantastic when it comes to playing on handheld or phone devices. One of the first games that I bought when I first got into mobile gaming was actually Uplink from Introversion.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic experience on mobile, and I hope that they make I know that it's now probably one of their oldest titles,
I guess.
But if they do ever, think of making a new one of those, I do hope that they'd come to touchscreen platforms first.
I remember one of the things that makes people pay attention was when XCOM first appeared on mobiles, and initially it was iPad only, then it moved to phone, and people were like, this plays quite well. Maybe phones are good after all.
We saw the same with the Total War games as well. They were on iPad first. Obviously that larger screen gives them more room to fit the user interface in, but as well as that more on screen. But they are all now over to normal mobile phones as well as.
And it works way better than you'd think. We were really impressed. So, which ones did you choose then? Best strategy game nominations are Company of Heroes, Crying Suns, Iris and the Giant, Not Chess, Oklos Sigma, Sandship, Teamfight Tactics, The Bonfire 2 Uncharted Shores, Through the Darkest of Times, XCOM 2 Collection. I've forgotten that XCOM was nominated. Good taste, everybody. Although controversial, people were like, I didn't quite love it as much as that first one, that first remake, I think.
When XCOM 2 got the War of the Chosen DLC, it completely changed the game.
There you
totally
go.
Worth it. Well advised diving into that, and that's included, as I recall, with the XCOM 2 download.
That's right. You get all of them when you buy it on mobile. The full, all the DLC included. Is it enough to sway you, the game-playing public? Let's see what you chose. Company of Heroes. Proper full-on RTS business there from that lot. And really impressive, like, port. I mean, it was originally a game from way back whence, wasn't it?
Oh, PC ages ago.
Yeah.
It was when the development company was still part of THQ before they went under, and Sega took the IP from them, from their dying.
There's that the dying tree of Sega.
Plucked it from their pocket.
Nice. Yeah, but I know that people were really anticipating that one appearing because it's heavy duty business. It's not necessarily a light game, but I know that people were very pleased to see it appear. It did it in a decent way. Someone's already going, XCOM, it was nominated, it didn't quite make it. But yeah, folks.
Personally, I think the Crying Sun was robbed, and not enough people can download that.
And you will truck no argument. Well, let's see what you think about the RPGs. So this is something that's close to my heart, I guess. I'm a big RPG fan, whether it's the really old-fashioned, Fallout 2 era engine-style games, like Pillars of Eternity that I mentioned earlier, all the way through to the kind of lighter ones like Mass Effect, which is arguably RPG-ish, story elements and upgrade trees and whatnot, and everything in between. And I like a story. I like getting invented. I like seeing the numbers go up. I'm easily pleased. Do you RPG? You strategize, I know, but do you RPG?
Less so these days. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to say I play every genre, aren't I? I've got to be varied. I play all the games.
You can be completely honest. No one's judging you here. Everyone's judging, but no one's judging you here, Dan, because we know that you're a professional and you love
dedicated RPGs. Less so, because they tend to require about 40, 50 plus hours, and I don't have those kind of hours to inject into stuff, especially things like JRPGs. I used to adore them, and CRPGs, like you said, Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights and things like that were exactly where I wanted to exist, but
as you say,
but no, I don't have the time now. The nearest I've got to that is recently playing the Yakuza games, which are RPG and fighting, and you can play them via Xbox Game Pass on your phone by linking it up to the thingamabob and doing the Wasami gig, which I've been doing.
All of that. I see you've read the manual fully.
Yes. I know all the jargon. Yeah.
Yakuza is glorious. We're not doing too much any like Game Pass stuff here. This is focusing on like mobile specific, but it has been an interesting wrinkle that technically anything you can play on Xbox Game Pass you can play on mobile, and I've been doing Sea of Thieves multiplayer with one of the players only having a mobile phone. He has no Xbox, and it's been working great. So the game is changing, but let's see what you guys voted for Best RPG on Mobile 2021. Ninth Dawn 3, Dungeon Faster, Genshin Impact, Guardian Tales, Illusion Connect, Knighthood, Pascal's Wager, Songbringer, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross. Tried not to have a wry smile there when I saw KOTOR again. Oh, very nice. A lot of popular games in that, though. Like, Genshin Impact is obviously, I'm not going to say the words made an impact because it's too easy. But, it has been big and kind of unavoidable over the course of the years. But there's quite a lot of stuff I have played and would like to on that list. If only we had the time.
I said that I haven't played many RPGs over the last while, but this underlines exactly how vast the RPG genre is, because some of these are games that I would have put down as action games many years ago, or Or, what's a roguelike? That's an RPG, right? Or is it a puzzle game? Who knows? But Dungeon Faster is here, and that's
Mm.
fantastic.
Well, it doesn't have to necessarily be heavy. Like you don't have to necessarily require 100 hours and like a 20-hour fight with a Sephiroth level like God boss for it to be an RPG. Loads of light stuff has become very popular, and particularly on mobile, because you can't really sit down and play some of those really heavy duty ones. You need something that works in short bursts, and that's why it's a good mobile RPG as opposed to just a straight, good RPG. So let's see if the winner reflects that. The winner of Best RPG is Knighthood. Prime example, really. There's something that is a little bit lighter. It's from King. These are the guys who made Candy Crush. That's their bread and butter.
Yeah, there you go.
But they popped up with something that was a mixture of like light action, combat, watching numbers go up, but something that suits the touchscreen, something you can play in portrait mode, something you can probably play with one hand if you wanted to. And all of those things contribute to make it something that's like, built for the ground up for mobile. And most importantly of all, no one can shout at me about it because I didn't choose it.
Or me. I didn't choose it either. I just want to, get in there on the ground.
And that's all that matters.
I played a little bit of Knighthood. Have you played?
Oh, really? No, I've not played any.
Oh, it's quite good actually. What they did is they separated all of what would have been the encounters of a traditional RPG into a level structure that weaves through a world, still drops shops and stuff into it. You can still do bosses, and there's still equipment to gain, and you're still leveling up stats. And you actually have a system that's very similar to the summon system from classic Final Fantasy games as well. So, this is an RPG in the same way that the Ring Fit is an RPG, which also added in that stat tracking and that split into levels. And yeah, you're right. It's a really wide church as to what becomes an RPG. And this really did capture that. I'm going to sit down for 5 or 10 minutes and I'm going to keep working on my characters throughout the experience. Whereas
Ring Fit managed to gamify my beer gut, which is impressive work. But the numbers, they went up or down. Which way are they supposed to go? I'm probably doing this wrong. So let's talk about innovation. This is something that we've been covering mobile for a long time, and I've been covering it for a number of years now. And one of the things, you can accuse mobile of a lot of things, right? And people do readily. But one of the things it has been is a hotbed for innovation. Because you've got a new input device, basically. The touchscreen is something that hasn't been part of mainstream gaming until the first iPhone or iPod turned up. So suddenly people had to come up with new ways for you to control games. So immediately, innovation straight off the bat. And the other thing is that relatively low bar to entry, where gamers can sit down and developers can, maybe 1 or 2 people can knock up a very simple looking game and release it on the App Store, relatively low cost, which means you can kind of experiment and do something weird that would never get funding from larger companies. Yeah. They would not give you 50 million to make it, but if you did it in your bedroom over 2 weekends, it might not look, AAA, but you could put something really weird and unique and odd out there. And some of them have been fantastic.
And of course, so many people, everybody who's got a PC and everybody who's got a console has also got a phone. So you've got access to a much bigger audience. There are people out there who have phones and play games that I've never even heard of, and that's just what they deal with. And so you've got this great audience that you can reach out to and capture, this great potential audience that you can reach out to and capture.
Absolutely. So let's see what you folks thought was innovative on mobile in 2021. Battle Legion. Crux, a climbing game. Hollow Vista. Reventure. Rip Them Off. 5 nominations for that one, most of which I've played. Crux, I really liked. It was a climbing game where you're kind of trying to pick which arm goes to which bit and which leg and make sure you don't cross over. And it's half puzzler, but really clever controls.
Yeah, it was really smart how it challenged you to think about how you were moving in future, like a strategy game, but it actually followed the kind of realism required in a climbing game. Basically, you obviously can't overstretch yourself 3 tiles one way because you would just tumble off and fall. All of that while having to keep an eye on your grip as well. It was, I thought that was definitely one of the standouts.
I always think of QWOP when I think of things like that. They're having to control each limb individually and then generally terrible things happening. So, who won Most Innovative Game of 2021? Hollow Vista. Excellent choice, everybody who chose that one. I really liked this game. I thought it was well clever. Did you get your hands on it?
I played it a little bit. I saw that kind of like the world starts, not quite falling apart, but everything starts. It's almost like a veil being lifted.
Yeah.
And things starting to go wrong or weird. And all the while, it's kind of like this cool, funky synthwave setting.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, and
Well,
and it uses actual.
That's right. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
You think it's just kind of one of those AR games where you're like, moving around a virtual room and taking photographs of objects. But then text messages start popping up from your sister, and it turns out you're going on a job interview, and you're sort of replying in the game, and so there's this like kind of meta narrative sitting behind it about you trying to get a job, and then things start going incredibly weird. So it's a lot more than you think it is. So to answer Ashank's question in the chat, yes, it is an AR game, but it's also got this plot sitting underneath it, and a lot more going on than you'd think. Really interesting, really cool and clever. We've definitely reviewed it over on Pocket Gamer. So go and there's a video as well. Go check it out. It's innovative, you might even say. How about that? Now then, let's talk about a bit of hardware. Best gaming accessory. We thought we'd give a little shout out to these as well, because whilst most people will spend most of their time just, touchscreen and a phone, that's what you wind up using, there are people who maybe want to reach for an MFI controller, maybe want to clip something around the edge to give yourself a little bit of extra button mashing potential, let's say. And I guess the third-party hardware stuff is rife, and some of it's actually very good. It's not all plastic tat. Oh no. Some of it's quite good. So let's find out what you folks chose for Best Accessories. Nominations are 8BitO SN30 Pro Bluetooth, the Anker PowerCore Portable Charger, Morphe Power Station Plus, Oppo Enco X Earbuds, Razer Hammerhead True Wireless, Razer Kishi Controller, SteelSeries Status Duo Controller, and that is a lot of stuff to say very quickly. They really do overname these things. Have you noticed?
Yeah, well, you've got to get the company name in there for a start, and then you need a series name as a reference, as a brand, and then you have the model name itself, and then you want to get some numbers in there as well. I see that we've missed some of the numbers off here, but you should normally put another number on there.
Yeah, it's very Super Street Fighter 2 EX plus Alpha, if you know what I mean.
It's classic Capcom naming, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a bit much. But we've already got people thinking they know who the winner is. I can't remember. So I'm going to remind myself right now. The winner of Best Accessory is the Razer Kishi Controller. You all guessed correctly that it was the winner, and I've had one of these. Not that model. There was I think there was a model that was a step back, which I had, and was one of the ones we first tried. They're good. They do the thing that they're supposed to do very nicely. Even though I try and make a habit of, if we're playing games or reviewing them, just using the touchscreen, because that's how everyone else will play it.
Yeah, definitely.
You need that baseline. But now with things like Xbox Game Pass, and everyone can use an Xbox controller, for example.
That's the thing as well. You can now pair a lot of Bluetooth controllers to the phone. So kind of like for many years when we've been reviewing or talking about technology, we've always thought kind of how will you get the everyman or the everywoman or the every person to go out there and buy a controller so that they can get a better experience on their phone. You can't assume that everyone's got access to a joypad or a joystick. No. And this was obviously especially something that I guess was a lot of problems for game developers back in the day when you had numpads on your phones rather than it just being smartphones, just a big interactive swiping screen. But yeah, now that you've got Bluetooth controllers available, the people who do want to have a kind of gaming control experience maybe aren't looking for that entry level one, because they may well have one of those controllers laying around already. So they're looking for something that's a little bit more premium, like the Kishi, which is a lovely design, clipped straight onto to the phones, and yeah, great experience.
Heard a lot of love for it, so fair play to them. Again, links in the chat if you're interested in the models or any of the games that we're talking about today. But we've got to push on. Let's stick with gadgets for a bit. Best gaming tablet. Now, I don't think there are... We'll have a picture of the winner, but really, the thing with tablets, right, and how they look, is you take a picture of a tablet, and what you've got there is a black-looking rectangle. Like, that's it. That's all there is, guys. So we're more interested to see like how they hold up against one another in terms of the models. And obviously there's I guess a popular one that everyone tends to go for, but it's branched out a lot recently. And let's see what they've got. Nominations for Best Tablet. Apple iPad Pro, Google Pixel Slate, Lenovo Tab, new Apple iPad, Samsung Galaxy Tab S6. The Galaxy Tabs are the ones that I've seen popping up a bit more. I mean, everyone tends to go for iPads, and I sort of get why, and I think originally there was a suspicion with Android tablets that like they didn't even come close or something, but I really don't think that's the case anymore.
Yeah, that's it. It's such a strange space, the tablet space, because for a few years they tried to make it into this big. It's more for artists and it's more for this and that, but at the same time there were people trying to push this stuff into the child-friendly space as well. And so we're at a really weird point in the tablet's lifestyle where pre-made kind of laptops that are actually kind of Chromebooks, etc., are becoming more affordable than certain tablets. Yeah. And phones are getting bigger.
That's the thing.
So where does the tablet sit in all of this? But there are some interesting contenders in there for certain.
Well, we'll find out. Let's see who did the big win. Which of the rectangles is crowned best rectangle? Let's find out. Apple iPad Pro. Slightly difficult to argue with it. Again, we didn't choose this. You guys chose this. But I have used them. I don't have one. I've got an older iPad, not a Pro, because they're very big and they're very expensive. But you were talking there not just about the gaming stuff, which, yes, obviously it's got an awful lot of power and it runs things beautifully on a screen that looks insanely good. And that, that adds a lot to it. But also, those other uses, like professionals and especially artists, like you say, being able to use them for drawing, painting, that kind of stuff. It's a remarkable bit of tech. It's a really, really nice thing that I can't afford. Oh, well, never mind.
But I guess all of these, because obviously the category is best gaming tablet.
That's right.
I guess what's happening is there's a lot of people with that have kind of iPads already, be it for different purposes or be it for games, that are getting that Apple Arcade subscription and then are having a great time. Clearly enough that they felt that they should voice it when it came to the voting.
They got on board and they smashed a bottle on the good ship iPad, so fair play. Well, let's talk about back to games for a minute, because this tech, these pictures are dull. Best Battle Royale game. So, the big craze that swept absolutely everything and pretty much dominates a lot of the gaming market now. So, whether you like PUBG, or whether you like Fortnite, or whether you can't stand the sight of either, Battle Royale games, they're here to stay. If there's 100 to 50 of you falling onto an island, you're all going to get shot. And that's Definitely. How it goes. A lot of them have popped up though, and mobile. They've done ports. You had your Fortnite on there, and I say had past tense, although you could sideload it, and like that's a whole different discussion point. But obviously things like PUBG 2. But we've also got contenders where the view is different. You're not just a military, third person. It's sort of top down. You can, and even some cases like trivia games and stuff like that. There's a lot of options you have. They did Tetris, didn't they? Tetris Battle Royale.
There was a Tetris Battle Royale. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So
I don't remember any guns in that one though, James.
I would have spiced things right up.
Just shoot out one of the tiles that you don't like, and then boom, Tetris.
A Glock to my Tetromino. So, Best Battle Royale nominations 2021 are Badlanders, Battlepalooza, Bullet Echo, Bullet League, Butter Royale, Call of Duty Mobile, Garena Free Fire, Might and Magic Chess Royale, Royal Crown, Trivia Royale. So a few of the obvious contenders in there, stuff we've mentioned, but then there's Trivia Royale got thrown in, chess as well. We've got going on. You can do.
So what's interesting with this is that because when it comes to battle royale games, they treat major updates in seasons like re-releases.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of games here that I'm pretty sure released over a year ago.
Yeah.
But like Garena Free Fire, they released the max version, which I'm guessing is why it scored so many points. Call of Duty Mobile effectively launched within the year of us announcing the Pocket Gamer Awards, and obviously they've launched new modes and continue to add new seasons. It's the old you killed me with that axe last year job, where every part's been replaced inside. So is it the same product?
That's right. And with things being in eternal soft launch now as well for like months, if not years at a time, like PUBG, we talked about it on the podcast. PUBG, like it went 1.0 like not that long ago.
Yeah, that's it.
And definitely. Everyone had been paying it for 2 years already. And it's like, I'm sorry, I thought this game was out. Aren't you working on the sequel already? And it's like, no, we just finished it. But nothing's ever finished now.
That's it, exactly.
It's all a live op.
I'm pretty sure there are some there that are in soft launch, and if not, then there's games there that have got major updates on the very, in the very near future as well. One thing, can you just repeat Eternal soft launch in a low booming voice with a big echo?
I can't do the echo, unfortunately. I can go Eternal soft launch.
That's great. That's perfect.
For the ringtone's good, unless I'm here to entertain. So, the winner of Best Battle Royale 2021 on mobile is Garena Free Fire. Someone already pointed out in the chat that Garena's been booming in countries all around the world, and that's exactly what it was. We heard about it first, or certainly it caught our attention, like long after it had become popular in South American countries and other places around the world. And this is a huge deal, Garena, and a massive fan base who I presume turned up and said, that one.
I'd assume it's exactly that. Yeah, there's a massive fan base for it in Brazil and in India and other areas of the world. And anytime we write about this game, people just turn up to read it in droves. And part of that's because they've obviously managed to reach out to these communities and form these communities. Yeah. But as well as that, they've got some truly amazing crossovers going on. There's a few companies out there who just completely pull wild crossovers out of the work, and Garena is one of those.
You're only as good as the J-pop band or the K-pop band that you associate with for a 1 month period. That's how it works.
Or Cristiano Ronaldo.
True. They got the footballers
he was in Garena as well. Because why not?
Yeah, sure. Footballers, semi-automatic weapons. It's all
same thing.
Yeah, so it's fine. Yeah. The crossover there.
You shoot organic. The ball at the goal.
There it is.
That's it. Yeah.
Shoot everything.
Should work in marketing.
Yeah. I shoot shows with a camera. Yeah. This is great. Shows like Launchpad, Pocket Gamer Launchpad, number 4, wow. Dan.
Wow, goodness. Yeah.
Crowbar that segue right in there. So, you might be familiar with the show if you've hung around Pocket Gamer long enough, but as well as doing the occasional annual awards show, we also do something more regular, Pocket Gamer Launchpad, which was something that you came up with, Dan. This was your brainchild, a way of spotlighting games. What did you want to achieve with this when you started out?
Yeah, James, that one wasn't the audience's fault.
No, this is all.
Yeah, no, that one was me. Yeah. The idea was to be able to create a kind of hot point, a place that you could go to see the news concentrated in one place for mobile games. For console games and PC, we have got E3 and we have got the Game Awards and we've got all these other events as well where people tune in their masses and developers and publishers show up and they announce what's coming next and everyone gets very excited. And we don't really have that kind of thing. We don't really know more than kind of 15 or 20 games that are coming up in the future. And part of that is because we've got soft launch, obviously. So we have, we could roll off 60 games that are currently in the works and we'll probably be releasing at some point. But as well as that, there's no big circuit. There's no people talking about it early, people building interest, that kind of developer and player interaction that these other events facilitate.
That's right.
And it also gives us a chance to talk about the games that we want to show to people and to give small companies a chance to be seen alongside these large games.
Yeah, as we do cover everything. We said it before, we run the gamut. We've got AAA stuff over there, and we've also got lots of niche things done by bedroom developers. And it's going to be coming back to streaming platforms. We'll be here on Twitch and also over on YouTube in May. I'm going to get the numbers right. I believe it's the 20th and 21st. Do correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's about right.
Did you say 28th and 21st?
So 20th and 21st. I can say we can do it on. We can postpone the first one a week if you like.
I got it down as 27th and 28th, mate.
Did you? Oh, well,
let's look to the chat. Dave will know.
Dave will know. There's a link. There's a link in the chat, in fact.
Goodness me.
I saw some graphics that may or may not have been lying. We've got a little while to put it together yet, but definitely A, check it out, and B, we've got all the old ones up. Most of them are on Twitch, and we've got them on YouTube as well. So if you want to see, it's basically a 2-hour show where we just break a bunch of new news that's never been seen before. It's quite nice. It's good fun. We enjoy doing it. We're going to keep doing it. So come back. Make sure you follow us and join us. Now, we'll be carrying on into the second half of our awards ceremony, but first, a message from our sponsor. Gaming phones built like graphics cards. Now, they've got fans in them. They're so massive, it's insane. So yeah, we're sponsored by these guys. Obviously, they've helped bring this to you today. So many thanks there. And the evolution of the games we've been talking about, it extends to the hardware as well. And if I can't afford the iPad Pro, that looks impressive. So you can find out that trailer just went live. Actually, that's the first time they've released it. And I think if you head over to their site, you'll be able to find more information about it as well, and the whole Series 6 family. Now then, let's dive back into these games, shall we? Let's have a look at AR. We talked a little about it with Alba, a wildlife adventure. But yes, that innovation thing, that ability to use this to do something that perhaps your PlayStation controller can't, AR's been a big part of it. Obviously popularized massively by the likes of Pokemon Go, even though anecdotally I understand people turn off the AR function and just play it.
Very quickly, yeah.
Maybe it hasn't caught on, but I've played a few things that I really liked in this genre. There was one from last year, the name escapes me, where you're kind of guiding people along a bridge, and the bridge spawns in the middle of your room, and you're moving around like everywhere. I'm like on my hands and knees checking out the underneath of this bridge so I can move stuff around. Genuinely good, like more than just a gimmick. There's some really interesting stuff to be done with it. I'm not sure they've managed to kind of find its true form, if you like. I mean, the Pokemon thing's done incredibly well, but it's really one of the few big successes, like huge banking successes they've had. But certainly there's a ton of innovation in this one. And we've got some nominations that you've chosen. So let's have a look. Best AR game nominees are Chest Quest, Hollow Vista, Lego Hidden Side, Pokemon Smile, Secret Oops. Pokemon Smile, I haven't played that one.
I've not played Pokemon Smile, but I believe it's to do with brushing your teeth, mate.
Oh, wait, I did hear about that.
Yeah.
They did a thing, yes.
They did a thing.
That's educational as well.
It is educational. Why is it not in the educational category? Come on, people. Yeah. But there are some interesting ones missing from this list. Like technically, anything that uses the phone to do AR could have been entered in this, right? So we had the Mario Kart stuff, didn't we? And the actual Mario stuff as well.
The racing car one. Yeah.
And, and we've seen a lot of these major brands, obviously Pokemon, as you mentioned, and Mario, and Lego, which was up for nomination,
Mm.
try and enter into that AR space and try and bring it forward and put it into the home. And what's the other one? Angry Birds did an AR one as well, didn't they?
They did, where you could literally, you could see the stacks of the blocks and the pigs on the ground, and then you would aim the catapult and release. I remember doing it on those stairs.
And I guess it's one of those things where people are just going to keep doing it until it's just there for everybody, and everybody's willing to try it out. And yeah, I've got to admit that outside of the brief bit of Hollow Vista that I played, actually Secret Oops, if you've not played that, that's fantastic.
Okay, no.
I've not dabbled in AR too much.
I'll have to give this a look. Well, let's see what you folks chose. The winner of the best AR game 2021 is Lego Hidden Side. Now, I did have a look at this one, and it's one of those ones where you can kind of capture images of your Lego set, and then boom, it appears in the game as a result.
Yeah, which is a really interesting idea. And they've done a handful of different sets with this as well.
Yeah. Made me think of the stuff with Skylanders, where you could buy those pods where you put the Skylander on it and they teleport into the game. That was a hot thing for a while, wasn't it?
The Toys to Life movement. Yeah, that's while I was working retail. You had Skylanders. Disney tried to get involved with Disney Infinity as well. And yes, but Skylanders was amazing. We'd have every kind of Tuesday and then Thursday, we'd have people show up because they had heard online that was when stores were getting their next batch of Skylanders come in. Yeah. And they'd be outside the store and they'd say, can you open up the boxes now and tell me if you've got X name in there?
And it was the same with Amiibo as well, wasn't it? All those ones, people
Amiibo.
Waiting for the next one you could put into the thing. Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
I didn't do much of the toy stuff, I got to admit, because I try and keep the plastic tap to a minimum around here. I'm sure there's enough already. What I do enjoy doing, though, it's a bit of puzzling. Best puzzle game, now we're talking. So, this kind of stuff, again, another one that works brilliantly on mobile, usually because these things, anything that involves movement or sliding things around, and that goes there and this goes here, that can be very, very tasty for puzzle. And also, forget screen interface stuff, narrative puzzlers, things where you're having to work things out and, deductions and stuff like that. When you got your phone and you can look at clues and then kind of go, and then put it away for a second and ponder and go, pull it back out again when you realise what it is. It's great for that kind of thing as well. So, best puzzle game of 2021. Let's find out what those nominations are. Aki Robots, Blue, Brightpaw, Deadword, Early Worm, Peak's Edge, Pokemon Cafe Mix, Seven Scrolls, Spell Tower Plus, The Almost Gone. Now, The Almost Gone was a lovely little thing. I do want to highlight Blue, though, because people are like, what's that? Bart Bonte, the
legend.
Absolute minimalist legend that is Bart Bonte, who's released a series of games that are just colours. And they are kind of single screen, non-verbal reasoning, would you say?
Yeah, basically, you just have to change the screen to that color by interacting with things on the screen, be that swiping the entire screen away or tapping things until they disappear into the background. And he must be a good 5 or 6 games into the color series now.
Totally.
And they're all brilliant, and they're all free to download, and you can get hints by watching ads if you want, or you can just solve it off your own back. And yeah, I think it's great. Lovely series.
It's well worth looking at.
Definitely. There's actually a couple of games here. It's like the RPG list now, where I'm like, wait a minute,
where are the extras?
I don't play puzzle games. I think I'm stupid. I can't do puzzles. What is this? But there's actually quite a few games here that I've really played and enjoyed. Things like Deadword, which just followed that. Those puzzles that they used to put in the newspaper, if you remember such things, where you had to change a single letter in a word. And then you continue down the ladder until you got to another word. It just works on that logic. But then there's zombies moving towards you, and if you match the word to them, you defeat them. Or actually, no, it's the opposite. If you match the word to that to get to where you need to go to, then they attack you. So
I just went cross-eyed. But zombies are
is-
there.
oh,
I like the way that they will take a crossword. How do we get zombies in?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Crowbar them in. Throw zombies at valves. That'll do the job.
There's not enough zombies in games.
No,
Thing
clearly.
nobody else
We
has.
should really
Yeah.
exploit that zombie niche.
Yeah.
No one's really tapped it.
Yeah.
Okay, the winner of Best Puzzle Game on Mobile 2021 is... Pokemon Cafe Mix. Did play this one a bit, very nicely presented, and the way that it's color matching, but it's not. It's it's mushing up Pokemon to make like recipes for like I want an espresso with a double shot, and so you smush up some Pokemon to do it.
Yeah, and it is smushing. It's not like match 3 where you're sliding them. They're all existing in a space, and you just kind of pull them towards each other to connect as much up as possible, and then it just pops and everything else kind of tumbles down.
Yeah.
So so it's almost like physics rather than your traditional sliding tile based.
Yeah, it's kind of. It was nicely presented, and I guess everybody went for it. Thing is, you put Pokemon in front of something, and suddenly the amount of audience that draws in just off the bat. There's an open world Pokemon game coming down. I don't know if you've heard. No one's mentioned it. Right. Let's go from something a bit more staged, something a bit faster. Best racing game. Here's another genre that's it's performed interestingly, I suppose, on mobile, because on the one hand, they've gone in and they've done full-blown actual races, or at least they've certainly tried to, where it's, steering either using the accelerometer or tap left and right, and you can do the full, almost simish gear shifting, go in, change the tires, gear ratios, all that stuff. But then there's also that much more casual end, your CSR racing, where effectively you're just tapping to change gear and that's it, and you're almost hands-off, and it's kind of a car collection thing. So that one really runs the gamut, and I know some people go, "Oh, it's not a proper racing game."
And you've got things like the latest Urban Asphalt game. You could just indicated when you wanted to change a connection, which way you wanted to go, or when you wanted to use boost and stuff, and it was almost like watching an interactive movie of someone playing one of the Burnout games. And I really enjoyed it. I bring back Burnout, but
oh god, yeah,
but it doesn't fit with how other people imagine or see racing. And then obviously to continue, you've also got kart racing games.
Yes, which adds a lot more kind of light, fluffy, arcadey-ness to it all. And we've had one of those over the past 12 months that's proved interesting as well. So let's show you the nominations. Best racing game on mobile are One Island, Battle Racing Stars, Dirt Bike Unchained, Forza Street, Hot Wheels Unlimited, Kart Rider Rush Plus, Overdrive, Rebel Racing, Retro Drive, Tabletop Racing World Tour. Now, I know at least one of those was met with a kind of like, I think the Forza one, people came and said, "This isn't Forza." We're like, no, it's not. It's a different game. It's on mobile.
Yeah.
So
that's why the name's different.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you expected there. But there's quite a wide range of things, from the very, very light, free to play-ish, easy stuff to more serious races. We'll go straight into the winner. I kind of want to know which one this is, because I did this. I put this all together a while back. I've forgotten who all the winners are. So this is informative for me as it is for you. So the winner of Best Racer on Mobile is Dirt Bike Unchained. A little bit of two-wheeled action for you there. That one played well with the fans. I've seen a lot of bike-based stuff recently. In fact, a chap who used to work with us, a guy called Mike Rose, started a publishing company, and he's been working with the guys who made Descenders, publishes that game. Has done very well and has appeared on Xbox Game Pass, and that's downhill mountain biking stuff. So I think there is a certain lure, especially at the moment, to that, like, let's go outside. Remember outside, where there's air and animals and people? Because I know I can't remember anymore. But we can all escape through our screens, so that's nice, isn't it? Let's talk about the Google Play Pass. We talked about Apple Arcade earlier, but Google was right there going, well, you want to do premium game subscriptions, buddy? Let's do it. Let's do premium game subscriptions. We can do that. However, this one plays slightly different. While Apple Arcade is a collection of games that's generally produced for the Apple Arcade and is exclusive to it, Google Play Pass is more of like a curation of the best premium games that you can then pay a monthly fee for and have as part of your pack to download. So it's more of a Netflix-y thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely much more like a TV package, isn't it? You've kind of got some lifestyle apps that come in there. You've got some music apps. You've got some game apps as well. It's definitely like when they first brought Skyboxes over to the UK, and we went, wait, what? There's more than 5 channels now, and you just go through, and it's like, oh wow, there's like 5 kid shows. Oh look, it's definitely more ranged like that, and that reflects in the games as well. Because what they've done is they've taken some really high quality games from the last few years and included those premium games inside the package. And it's almost like a best of reel, isn't it? Really,
exactly.
What can be on
mobile. Old stuff and new stuff and ports, and it's kind of everything. So not everything on this list came out in this year, but this is all part of the package and was either added this year or is currently available. So the nominations are Monument Valley, Old Man's Journey, Reigns, Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, Stardew Valley. Even just those 5. Those are all great.
Yeah, it's all of like those are great. List. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Stardew Valley, I mean, is obviously huge and is what it is. KOTOR, very nice. Old Man's Journey was really nice and understated. Beautiful little elegiac arty story, and one of those ones where it's almost like planes of 2D. Got that sort of slow parallax thing where you move from the foreground to the background. Really nice stuff going on there. And once again, I can't remember who won. Shall we find out? Oh, we've already got guesses. Stardew or Knights of the Old Republic, people saying. That's quite a lineup. Let's find out. The winner is Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. Yeah! Ooh, yeah! Ooh. Star Wars! Yeah, Star Wars is really good. Knights of the Old Republic. Oh, it's one of the best games ever. That is an absolute classic. Stone cold. Brilliant. Yeah, we love that game. It's made... Sorry. Yes! Good!
Well, the audience really liked that one.
Yeah, the audience was a huge fan of that one. It went down a storm. Yeah, that's nice to see. Also, again, I didn't vote for that. Nothing to do with me. But that works really well on touchscreen. Yeah. Not especially because it's one of the games where you can look left and right, but it doesn't have the y-axis. So you can drag your finger left and right to spin the camera around, and then you just slide your finger up to walk forward. Yeah. And the first time I played that on tablet, I was like, is this going to work? Oh no, this works really well. And it's nice and and the rest of it's just interacting with the interface that's already there. And obviously, one of the best RPGs of all time. So, there is no downside to this game. And I played it all through an iPad again. So, yeah, lovely. Well done. Well done, KOTOR. At least you won something. Now, best mobile publisher. We do talk about the devs and the publishers here as well. And we can't underestimate the importance, because no developers, no publishers, no games. And it is maybe, for some people, it's like some of the less sexy bits, because we're all here, obviously, and we're interested in the playing of it all. But we have an entire site dedicated to this stuff, in fact, don't we? Pocket Gamer Biz.
We do indeed, yeah.
Yeah, so make sure you go over there. If you're interested in the numbers and how the games get made, check out pocketgamer.biz. And you will be delighted to find lots of interviews with these guys, the publishers, the developers, the financiers, everyone who's involved with bringing these games to you in the first place. But the nominations for Best Publisher are Crescent Moon Games, Garaned, Giant Games, Quali, Lion Studios, NetEase Games, Netmarble, Sumo Digital, Voodoo, Zynga. Names you may or may not have heard, because they're the names that are in the top corner of the screen or flash up at the beginning, and then you try and skip past it really quickly when you're playing. But yes, they're all huge players. Voodoo became massive because of the hyper casual thing.
Yeah, of
A
course.
lot of games that they produced there obviously wind up being enormous, and it kind of can't be underestimated the impact these things have. I noticed not on the list it's a publisher and a developer, but Tencent has like grown to these astonishing like astronomical proportions where they're like Disney sized, and have involvement.
And they're attached with tendrils into many of the other developers and publishers.
Absolutely, and it pays to have some idea of this stuff. And some people who are like into the gaming scene beyond just the playing of it, it's a fascinating rabbit hole to dive down, because it does explain when you realize how it all works, and you look into the publishers and developers and the way certain games had a very easy path. I don't think any game has an easy path to your app store.
All right, yeah.
But games some games have a trickier genesis than others, let's say. So it's fascinating to find out the whys and the wherefores. But the winner, best mobile publisher, is Garena. Who, let's be honest, have had an incredible time of it, really, just off the back of Garena Free Fire being as huge as it is. So, again, not a huge shock. Because while lots of other companies, and to be honest with you, I don't know what other properties they have, because the Garena Free Fire is so big it's kind of eclipsed it,
Yeah, I mean, they're a company that, my understanding, and this may be wrong, so don't quote me, but my understanding is that they used to work quite closely with Tencent, and when they wanted servers hosted elsewhere in the world, or they wanted to hand over server management to games that they were no longer developing, they'd go through companies like Garena, who would then localize them, deploy them, and keep them maintained in the local area.
Okay.
And there are old Garena games. I believe Speed Racers was one of them.
Really? Okay.
Which they still operate, but it was developed entirely by a different team and then handed over to them. Another game that they're working on is Contra Returns.
They're doing the new Contra.
Yeah.
Wow.
Contra. I know, right? Yeah.
All I remember is that I feel like there was a slightly not so great remake or reimagining they did of Contra not so long ago. Maybe they brought it to mobile with bad controls. That might be it.
There was a little blink of time during the Xbox 360 era where everybody decided that they could remake all of the old arcade games, like a Bionic Commando.
Bionic Commando was the one I was thinking of. Yeah,
that's it. And yeah, there was probably about 18 months where all of a sudden all of these were hitting really hard but not really selling. So it may have been in that block.
Well, if you want insightful stuff like that, which I didn't know because clearly I haven't read the site enough, head over to pocketgamer.biz. It's a good site. It's got good people on it. Now, let's talk action. Swinging in the other direction. We like things that go boom. Like, I like puzzlers, sure. I like thinking about things from time to time, but mostly
blowing stuff up.
Gun go bang. Gun go bang, Dan. Man go boom. And it's a good time. Good time is had by all. So this can cover everything from, like, I think we're going to talk specifically shooters in a bit, but I don't know, if there's some kind of a fist connecting with something, or indeed any object connecting strongly enough with another object that it combusts, we're classing it as action.
So action used to be like run and gun games, right? Yeah, on the subject of Contra. That's what it used to be. But then action now is so close to what adventure used to be. Goodness me, I don't know. This is why I didn't set what was in here. This is the audience.
Well, you almost think of like when people are talking about Uncharted, those games and things like Tomb Raider, like, is it an action? Is it a platformer? Is it like a puzzler? Like it's kind of
puzzlers. Yeah,
there's sort of
Metroidvanias. There you go.
Yeah, it's kind of everything. So at some point the classifications lose all meaning. But I think we got a decent selection here. Let's see who's nominated for Best Action. Beat Hazard 2, Bit Dungeon 3, Castle of White Knight, Door Kickers Action Squad, One Finger Death Punch 2, Pascal's Wager, Snake Core, Space Marshals 3, The Curse of Isios, Vikings 2. Plenty of garnishment to be had there, I can find. Yeah, I liked a lot of those.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you get to play any of them?
One Finger Death Punch.
Oh yeah.
That that series. The first one was on Xbox Live Indie Games, which is where I started cutting my teeth writing about games.
Ah.
And yeah, the first one and the second one, absolutely fantastic. Completely mindless. Touch on the left, touch on the right, and death happens around you. And it's almost a rhythm game, right? There's these bars moving towards you, and just do it at the right time. And just this overly cinematic action with stickmen killing each other and picking up medicine balls and wiping out droves of people just goes on in the background, and it's fantastic.
It's nuts. I think Pascal's Wager is the one I played a bunch of, most out of that list, because we were talking about it on streams, and that's the one that's kind of a a Bloodborne, Dark Souls-esque game,
definitely.
And it's one of the few to actually bring it to mobile in a way that isn't bad. Like it feels decent. It's simplified. They've changed things to make it work, and it's all the better for it, because if you tried to just port them over, they'd be a mess. So,
but this is, it's, as you said, it's kind of built from the ground up, and they've done such a good job with it. And they have really captured that moody gothic, there is no hope, everyone's dead, horrible curse of the Souls games.
You're speaking my language. Bloodborne. It's just a documentary about Britain, really. So, action winner. Let's find out who you voted for. Pascal's Wager. Accidentally queued that one up more than I thought. Yeah, they did well. And that's a game that I was interested by, because I was waiting for everyone to turn around and say, this is just a copy, what are you doing? And there to be a huge backlash against it. And it kind of went the other way. People turned around and went, another one of these horrible clone thing. Ooh, this handles quite nice. I think I'll play some more.
Definitely. And then they supported it with extra content as well. It got these big expansions. It really seemed like they didn't know if it was going to do well. So they built this really concise game, and they went, no, let's tuck these other ideas away. And they like it. They really like it. And
they love me.
And just...
It's coming to PC.
It is indeed, yes.
I saw the trailer recently, so it's come full circle, back to the platform that inspired it. So fair play. Well done there. Now, best digital board game. These have been played a lot in lockdown by families who are inside and basically have nothing else to do. Please play with me. Can we do something that isn't looking at the TV? Please, please. So this has kind of been a good year for it. Not a good year for anything else, but a good year for board games. Do you guys you and your family, do you like get out the iPad or tablets or whatever?
I actually used to before, outside became this horrible place you couldn't go to, and you weren't allowed to travel from locations to location. Used to have a fortnightly tabletop meetup where people would come round, food would be cooked, and fancy nerdy board games would be played. And so there's a few of these which I've played the physical versions of. And there's a couple here that actually just follow the kind of spirit of the board game, just as a digital experience, like Book of Beasts that I can see there, which we saw in a previous launchpad.
No, they've... Again, board games, another thing where if you just think of something simple like a Scrabble or a Pictionary or whatever, those got turned into digital versions very, very quickly. With your Scrabbles became Words with Friends, and Pictionary was the Draw It or whatever it was called. And immediately these things work brilliantly. You can do the asynchronous multiplayer where you just take a turn and then it just gets sent, and you can sit back and they can take their turn in their own time and it'll just pop up with a notification. Perfect for that kind of thing. Yes, and in a land where we can't really hang out with each other as much as we'd like to, a bit of a godsend. So, board game nominations on mobile are Agricola Revised Edition, Book of Beasts, Gloom Digital Edition, Mandela The Game of Life, Roll for the Galaxy, Root, Sagrada, Scythe Digital Edition, The Game of Life 2, The Tree. Played more of those than I thought as well. I've played Gloom. I've played Agricola.
Gloom's great.
Which I used to call Agricola, but I think it's Agricola.
Agricola's a drink, isn't it?
Sure, the drink made out of grass. And I said Mandela, not Mandala, should have been there. I'm mispronouncing. This is the challenge of doing these things live off a small screen.
Mandala. Three Nelson Mandala. Yeah.
Exactly. And Scythe, I played a lot of Scythe on the stream. That's a very complicated engine building Euroboard game, which is all about kind of like proper Soviet dystopia business. But they brought it over onto PC and also onto touchscreens as well. And it's one of these things where the learn bit of the board game, which is the bit that puts everyone off, is a challenge. And that's always the hurdle with digital board games or any kind of board game, is you have to have someone sit down and read the rules properly. And then when everyone comes, you go, right, so this is how it works. And then everyone gets it really wrong for about 2 hours.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. That's exactly why my tabletop group is every 2 weeks.
Need to learn them.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But yes, we've got some worthy competitors there. So let's find out who the winner is. The Game of Life 2. Now that doesn't surprise me, because whilst I'm here playing Scythe and stuff like that, which, to be clear, is kind of niche, over the past year, when people have been reaching for, can we just do a quiz? Can we do some kind of question-based game with our friends or with our family? And everyone's been doing these Zoom quizzes and things like that. I mean, that's perfect. That's ideal. I bet that's been downloaded through the roof over the course of the past 12 months.
I bet. Yeah. I've played a little bit of it.
Oh, really?
It's very enjoyable. Yeah. I hadn't actually played the board game of Game of Life, but I know people who had. Yeah, okay. And we played it, and it follows naturally because it's a sequel to a board game. It's not a digital adaptation of a sequel to a board game. It's a board game that could have never happened. They really built on the systems of the board game, kept those mechanics in place, but added a lot more jobs and a lot more paths through the game. So
I will have to give them. I have to tear myself away from my incredibly complex engine builders and do a quiz. All right, let's talk about phones again. Best gaming phone. Now, we covered the tablets earlier on, and obviously I think we're sponsored by one here, but again, we didn't choose this. This is all down to you folks and what you're gaming on. And the thing here is that the divide between iOS and Android, which is the significant divide in phones, is the two camps, where arguably a lot of the Apple tech has technically been on pure brute horsepower, inferior to some of the top-end Android phones, but it's not all about the numbers. It's about the way that the systems work and the games that are being made for them and that kind of thing. So there's a huge influence here on do people choose the most powerful one? Do they choose the one that offers the best gaming experiences, where the interfaces are better and easy to use, that are more reliable? There are so many possible alternatives.
It is a battle between stability and kind of mandated security versus that push forward. It always feels like Apple are catching up when it comes to features with the Android, but they do things at their own pace. And I guess it's the same as Nintendo. They do things at their own pace when they're ready to do it and when they feel that they can, I guess, control it enough and bring it into that ecosystem. That's
right. And we've got some nominations for you. Let's see what people went for. Apple iPhone 12 Pro Max, Asus ROG Phone 3, Huawei Mate 40 Pro Black, the OnePlus 8 Pro, Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, Xiaomi Poco X3 NFC. Now the Xiaomis, that's kind of the brand that I end up using. I go with the Redmis. I got the Redmi Notes, and I stay up to date with them. And the other thing we should factor in here, and it's the reason why I like these, is price. Phones can be very expensive. Those top-end iPhones, and even the top-end Androids as well, when you're looking at the Pixel phones, they are, you 800 and up. It's an awful lot of money. Whereas with something like this is more like 150, and it's not too shabby. It's not it's not top of the range, but it's far from unusable. It's a decent piece of kit. It's got a decent camera. It does the things I need it to do, and importantly, when I drop it in a puddle, I don't cry. Well, not as much as I would if it cost £1,200, like some of them do.
Most definitely.
But in terms of gaming experiences and whatnot, you had a clear winner, and here it is. Apple iPhone 12 Pro Max. Which again maybe isn't a huge surprise because it's a technically very impressive thing and it's very powerful and I probably can't afford it. Well, you know, I guess it's about
there's so many
priorities, isn't it?
people in the contract ecosystem, in my opinion, and I know so many people who have got an iPhone, and then when the new one is announced, their contract expires, and they automatically get the biggest and the best. And these people are happy existing in that same ecosystem.
Totally.
And once again, as I said earlier, with things like Apple Arcade, they're probably having a really great time now with gaming. So yeah, when this comes up and they think about a gaming phone, why would they think about anything else if they're already in that ecosystem?
And they want the newest and the shiniest and the one with most cameras. I have noticed that, like, even this one we're dealing, there's four cameras on this, which, I mean, 2 of those you probably don't need. Like, it's getting a bit excessive now. It's starting to give you people who have that fear of, lots of dots in a place.
Triphobia.
Yes. I think we're going to, phones soon, there's going to be a back full of them and we're not going to be able to pick them up because they're too horrifying. Okay, we're getting into the end game now. We're reaching the biggies. Best multiplayer game. So, again, we covered it with the board game stuff. Multiplayer has been so important for everybody's mental well-being this year. It's been a lot of Sea of Thieves for me with friends, but everyone else has been jumping on and, whether it's Fortnite or PUBGs or even just visiting people's villages in Animal Crossing. On the Switch. Yeah. Lovely. Whatever it might be, even just a little bit of contact with other people, it's been super important. And these are the games that have been keeping you sane over the past 12 months on mobile. Brawlhalla, Eve Echoes, Go Go Go, Marble Knights, Respawnables Heroes, Rumble Hockey, Teamfight Tactics, Too Many Cooks, Totally Reliable Delivery Service, Wild Rift. Wild Rift, another one that's out, but not really because...
Yeah, no, it's out in the UK. It's coming to the US later on this month, I believe, if not early next month. And it's out in a couple of other regions as well. So what is release now? What is release?
We just don't know. But
what is finished game? There
is no finished game, Dan. Games just released and then they persist. What is release but game persisting? So let's see what you guys chose as your best multiplayer game on mobile. Eve Echoes. Another game that comes off the back of an enormous community and just an insane amount of love for anything Eve related, I think. I've played this. I played the multiplayer one.
Yeah.
And as someone who didn't actually play a lot of Eve, I was really expecting it to be like, I was going to expect it to be very overwhelmed. Wasn't too bad. Was actually able to get into it and it leads you by the hand quite neatly, and it gave me a sense of the space and what I was doing and dragging me ships out, and I felt like I was understanding what was going on in a way that I find Eve, because it's been around for so long and people treat it like a second job, it seems very intimidating to get into it now.
Definitely. I remember a long time ago, maybe even before some of my staff writers were alive, I don't know, a friend having Eve running on their computer and me just looking at it for like 10-15 minutes and then just deciding I was never going to be able to play that game because they explained to me that they just set their ship up here and they left their computer running, mining this asteroid all day, and then they could sell it. And if they did this, they could, pay for their subscription, and then that's equivalent to real world money. And then why do they need to? And I was just like, and treated that with the same trepidation that I treat words like blockchain and non-fungible token. At the moment, yes.
Can't move for NFTs around these parts, can you? And it's another one that hasn't released the same game, because to try and just put Eve, just dump it on mobile just wouldn't work. So it's a different thing, but it's done something clearly that struck a chord with you, the viewers. So congratulations there. Now, we talked about action. Let's talk shooter. Shoot, bang, point the pointy end at the thing, and then the boom, and yeah.
Yep. If it goes boom, it's a shooter.
That's
if it
right.
goes poink, it's a stabber. Yeah.
I don't think we have Best Stabber 2021.
We haven't got best stabber, but it could be one for next year.
We'll bear it in mind. Yeah, so clearly it's one of the most popular genres because no matter how it's set up, like whether it's sort of hard-headed military action shooters or whether it's mad sci-fi nonsense with lasers, like people like doing it. And frankly, if it keeps it off the streets, as long as I don't get shot by a Halo needler when I'm walking down to Tesco, then better have it in the game. I say
That'd be so embarrassing.
It would be, I know, because you'd hide around the corner, but they'd find you.
They'd just do that, and then enough of them, and poop. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then I'd drop my sweet corn. So, the nominations for Best Shooter 2021 on mobile are Badlanders, Bullet Hell Monday Finale, Bullet League, Don Zombie, Door Kickers Action Squad, Farewell, No Way Home, Respawnables Heroes, War Tortoise 2, Warface Global Operations. Now, War Tortoise.
Yeah.
I've got history with this genre. It's War Tortoise is cool, man. It's a weird one. It's kind of almost, it's not quite tower defense-y, I suppose, but like you are basically mounted like a small creature on the back of a gigantic tortoise, and you strap armaments to it, and you're getting attacked by woodland creatures while this thing stomps backwards and forwards. You're trying to get from A to B usually, and it's kind of doing this.
And there's just squirrels jumping out of the tree and throwing acorns at you. What we got?
Yeah, commander squirrels, like angry guinea pigs, whatever happens to be roaming around. You know, a chinchilla with a particularly well sliced bit of guava. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's for a game that's obviously really, really daft. It's got a surprisingly amount of like military stuff in it. They take it quasi seriously, even though it's a tortoise. But obviously there are other good shooters in there as well. I'm just focusing on the silly one. So let's see what you guys chose. Best shooter of 2021 on mobile. What is it? Warface Global Operations. Heavy duty military sniping business going on there, as you can see. And again, not really that surprised. It's such, I always think of the hunting games that I've never heard of. You know those hunters games where it's like, it's basically a scope.
The hunter. Oh.
Yeah. No, there's an entire that's an entire other subgenre really of those hunter games where it's basically like a sniper rifle and you're just kind of picking animals off. And I looked at those games going, I never play these. Like, I've never heard of that before. What's that? And then you look at the download stats and you look at the money they break in. You're like, this is what all of America's playing. These deer hunting games. Yeah, we got them in the chat there, Deer Hunter. And a bunch of offshoots. The Hitman Sniper one did really well.
That was a good one. Yeah.
It did way better, for example, than Hitman Go and Lara Croft Go and all the other games from Square Enix. Like, that was the one that was making the money. And so I was like, oh, okay. There's this whole subgenre of things that I haven't played that are generating a lot of love. And in this case, they were the victors. Warface, congratulations to them. Now,
Warface is an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I definitely think that it's one of those ones, like you said, where you just kind of don't see it around. I remember us covering the release of it, and I thought it had something to do with Crytek, who should definitely be concentrating on making a new Time Splitters game instead of this. But
always. Whereas Time Splitters 3, we need that. Yeah. We're just sitting and going, remember Burnout? That was nice. Actually. This is the perfect category for it. Next one up, best game we're still playing. So this is the one where you can go back to the glory of old and play the thing that was maybe a few years back, but you still got it on your phone and you just can't put it down. And again, another list full of, I have seen this one, and some quality stuff. Let's see what you, the people, are still playing. Among Us, Call of Duty Mobile, Clash of Clans, Garena Free Fire, Mario Kart Tour, Mobile Legends Bang Bang, Pokemon Go, PUBG Mobile, Teamfight Tactics, Wild Rift. I was wondering how long it would be before Pokemon Go popped up. And yeah, it is the thing that will not die. It is the game that keeps going and going. And I again, understandable. I really thought this had dropped off because I don't play it myself, but I keep sort of seeing occasional mentions and, like, you know, in group chats and stuff like that, people will just bring up the thing they've caught. It's like, my God, this is still going. Like, it's a juggernaut.
They did a really good job in the UK when COVID first happened and everyone locked down. They made it so that the range was slightly better. They started giving you free stuff. They brought out this remote battle pass system as well, which meant that if somebody on your friends list was near a gym where a raid was taking place, then they could invite people on their friends list in who could then join using those passes. Right. So they did a really good job of pivoting to, wait a minute, people can't go outside their house. And I'm actually in a group now of people that are continuing or playing again Pokemon Go.
Well, yeah, again, and I'm not surprised because with the stuff that the still playing category, things are no longer frozen in stasis, games aren't released and then they stop. And, you know, like, yes, I like KOTOR, but it is the same game that came out however many years ago. Whereas these things, you turn it on and often they'll be unrecognizable sometimes when it comes to the updates. I mean, Fortnite, while the base game remains the same, clearly everything is seasonal. Even, and I say my experience with mobile, playing games through mobile on Xbox Game Pass, Sea of Thieves, they just introduced their first season. So that game has changed radically between, you know, if I turned it on 6 months ago. So
that's it. It's hard to say when something is actually released now, other than publicly available. You look at things like Among Us. Among Us was fading into, you know, the background. They'd announced the second Among Us, and then at that point, a bunch of streamers went, hey, let's go play this game because they're making a second one. And that created such a big surge that they cancelled the second Among Us. And now obviously they're working on releasing that new map for the game, which is one of the most downloaded games out there now.
Absolutely. Now, we haven't revealed the winner yet, have we? No, good. All right, so let's do it. I had to double check there because I was like, I don't want to do it twice, but let's see it. Let's see it the once. I'll allow you the once. The best winner, the best game we're still playing. Call of Duty Mobile. They finally got Call of Duty right on mobile.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for want of trying. They've definitely tried before.
They certainly did.
But yeah, this felt great, didn't it?
It works. It actually works. Like, and we've been reviewing games and covering all the various iterations. They've tried a lot. They've tried first-person stuff. They've tried stuff that's top-down and you play almost tactically. They've tried one which was a literal hybrid of both of them. You would switch modes at certain points. Little zombie spin-offs and all of that, and none of it's felt quite right. This one feels, for the first time, like a Call of Duty game, and it's been hugely successful as a result. Of course, you get the obligatory Battle Royale-style mode thrown in there as well, because you got to have that now. But beyond that, just the multiplayer of it all. And we were talking about this on the podcast as well with Stephen, where they're almost treating it like a best of in terms of the content that they're releasing. The maps are maps from, you know, Modern Warfare 2 and the old games you used to play. So they appear and everybody kind of pops up and just like goes, oh, I've played this. Like, you know, I know this. I know exactly where to camp. So
it's got such an interesting player base, because I know they remade Call of Duty Modern Warfare recently, which was 2007. But you think that was when they kind of reinvented the series, because that was Call of Duty 4 originally. But there are maps now and characters that were featured in games from literally going on from that point in time that are now being added into this as kind of like fan favorites. And it's interesting because there are so many people still playing that series from back then. You think 2007 was quite a while ago now, sadly.
Yes, indeed. Again, Wild Rift popping up from the ashes of League of Legends. Well, ashes. League of Legends is still going and huge.
It's still going, yeah.
But that's 2009. That thing came out, and now they've got the new blood on the scene. Well, we're into the home stretch here. 3 categories to go, folks, and then we're going to be leaving you. But before we do want to say, obviously, thanks to Red Magic, who sponsored us today. You can find the links in the chat there. And also, do come back and join us for the next mobile streaming business will be doing. Of course, we're going to be running a launchpad number 4, which will be appearing in May, which the dates are up in the air. They're not up in the air, I just misremembered them. So do go over and check for that to come back and join us for more streaming business. But we're going to round this out. Let's jump to it. Best Mobile Developer. The nominations are Butterscotch Shenanigans, Feral Interactive, MiHoYo, NetEase, Neutronized Games, New Star Games, Riot Games, Tepes Ovidiu, Thomas K. Young, Us2 Games. Good stuff. Got some good stuff. Us2, the Monument Valleys, and Riot Games with your.
And they did Alba as well.
They did. Yes, that's right. That's a left turn, isn't it?
Yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily put those two looking at.
No. But they're just going for it. They did Assemble with Care as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that was an interesting one actually.
As well. They've been putting out some good stuff.
But no, there's everyone there's responsible for something at least halfway decent. But again, you were the folks who chose. Let's find out who won. Riot Games. It's all about that Wild Rift, you see.
Yeah, it's Wild Rift fans.
And that chess one. The name of which escapes
me. Yes. Yeah, good point. That chess one too. Yeah.
That League of Legends chessy thing. Yes, well, I was the one who played Wild Rift and went, oh, this is quite good, actually, isn't it, as well? Because they've done the thing where they did actually port it over. Wild Rift is extremely vanilla League of Legends, but with just a few things taken away. Like just same processes, just shortened a little bit, sped up a little bit. But really, you can sit down and play it like you would. If you're familiar with LoL, then you can play this like off the bat. You know how it all works. And that's kind of impressive. And even someone who didn't play a lot of League found it quite accessible and fun. And I've heard from people who are big League fans that it's quite decent. They liked it. So fair play to them. Well done, Riot. Now then, we'll do something slightly different here. This is our first. Is this our first Hall of Fame, Dan?
This is our first Hall of Fame entry. Yes.
Wow. All right then. So explain the Hall of Fame to the nice people.
You know the Hall of Heroes. Basically, yeah. This is games that have been integral to mobile games getting to the point where they are now. So when we look back through the years, which some people can certainly do better than me because I've only been on the scene for a couple of years, but there are games that have proved either incredibly influential and have just created a major change in the way that games do things, or they've pioneered new mechanics, or they've taken existing technologies and done new things with these. These are games that have either innovated or have kind of captured the imagination and the minds of the players that have played them and the developers that have gone on to develop games since.
Absolutely. And with mobile, as you say, you've got a new form factor, you've got a new controller, and it's a case of what do we do with this? And for our very first inaugural one, we took one of the games that really became synonymous with what mobile gaming was, all the way back to 2009 when first touchscreens ever appeared. So let us welcome in our first Hall of Fame nomination. They said it in the chat. Kind of had to be, really, didn't it? I mean, can you think of a more mobile associated game other than Snake?
I mean, but Snake hasn't had, while Snake is something that culturally we talk about when we talk about mobile, and we all joke about how that was like the start of games there. Angry Birds brought that swipe and that interaction there that so many games since have used into the forefront of everybody's mind. There was a point where everybody was talking about Angry Birds. People's grandparents and people's grandchildren and people's nephews and nieces, they all had it downloaded. They're all competing on leaderboards or helping each other to complete levels. And Angry Birds has, and this is something that the CEO of Still Media says quite often, he says that Angry Birds is like the Mario of mobile gaming. And as cheesy as that sounds, that is completely accurate, and not just because it's just a little red character.
No, for a lot of kids who grew up, of a particular age, like where their parents will have given them a phone when they were very young and said, no, here, you just occupy yourself with this. It's probably the first thing they played. And because it's so accessible, it's not just a red thing. It is really their first interaction with gaming. And that has such a massive impact on you when you're a child. Like when you go back and play games you used to love as a kid, let's be honest, a lot of them are rubbish. But you have that wonderful connection with them where no, this is brilliant, this is still great. You lie to yourself as you grind through.
Adventure on the Atari 2600 was perfect.
Exactly.
I won't accept what you're saying.
All three colours of it. Golden. Amazing.
That change from screen to screen, yeah.
And the other thing with Angry Birds, it's been through so many different iterations. They've done like loads of variations on the core mechanic. They've made it into an RPG. They've made it into a racer. They turned it into, there was like an adventure version. I'm pretty sure there was some kind of auto runner. It's done everything.
There was a match-free game that they were trying out. And as well as that, beyond the small screen, those games have made it onto slightly larger screens on PC and on console. But as well as that, they have had TV shows. They've had movies. There are theme parks, and there are like play park partnerships out there. So Angry Birds is definitely a large part of culture in general.
Exactly. It's had an impact with you. Like it or not, it's had an enormous impact on everything. And it's really responsible in a lot of ways, along with things like Clash of Clans and stuff like that, for the boom, the explosion of mobile gaming into like popular culture. So fair play to Angry Birds. Well done. Which means that we're here. We're at the end of the list. The game of the year. If you've watched us this far, then thank you ever so much for joining us. And I hope you'll come back and join us for more things Launchpad related. And of course, go and visit PocketGamer.com. Dan runs PocketGamer.com. It's a really good site. Don't make all his work be in vain. Go and click things immediately. And PocketGamer.biz, which has been shepherded for the longest time by Danielle, who is another one of our editorial heroes. And go and visit that site as well. She likes clicks too. Clicks are good and lovely. We've also got a YouTube channel, which we're streaming on now. So please go and get involved in that. Maybe do a follow or watch some videos. We've got some cool stuff to show you. We're going to show it to you today, but we don't have time because we're already at the 2-hour mark. So it's time to knock us on the head with the mobile game of the year as chosen by you folks. Here are a lot of very cool nominations. The Almost Gone, Genshin Impact, Wild Rift, Gunslinger, Retro Bowl, XCOM 2 Collection, The Pathless, Level Head, Teamfight Tactics, Green, Words for a Bird, Maze Machina, Knighthood, Bird Alone, Alba, A Wildlife Adventure, Before Dark, Terrafin, The Last Campfire, The Bonfire 2 Uncharted Shores, Slay the Spire. That's a lot of good stuff.
Oh, it really is. We could set up an hour-long stream of me just, oozing words over all of these things, because there's so many good games in there. I could talk for days on, things like Slay the Spire and how they're a great port. But look, we've got Green in there. We saw one of Bart's color games earlier on. He also made Words for a Bird, which is a fantastic, similar style game, but just with loads of puns and
it's really good. It's a lovely little like short word game that you can play. Really good stuff.
Gunslinger, that's fantastic. Gunslinger, just little gooey people shooting each other. Quick draw.
Good rubber physics on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
liked it a lot. And again, of course, Wild Rift has popped in there because it has to. And yeah, that's a lot of good stuff. And it does make you go, well, it's been a terrible year. There's no other way to cut it. It's been awful. Start again, folks. Hit the reset button. But gaming in all its forms, not just mobile, but has been a huge support for a lot of people, and it's kept a lot of us sane, I imagine, providing distractions, providing ways to connect with other people, and all of that is incredibly important, and so we're massively grateful for it, and so are you. And out of those games that you chose, which game did you choose to be the game of the year? The winner is... Genshin Impact. Of course, everybody chose Genshin Impact.
I'm so glad it won something, though.
Yeah, it held out.
I mean, what were people doing? Genshin Impact has been like a phenomenon. It's been this big landmark, and yet people just voting. Where is it? Where has it been? Why is it not? But a well-deserved win.
Absolutely, it's the game that everybody thought was going to be garbage, and then it turned out to be the biggest thing.
People, they demoed it at first. It must have been 2 years back, maybe. They demoed it running on, I think it was PlayStation. And notoriously, someone just got mad and threw a controller on the floor and said, how have Nintendo allowed this Breath of the Wild clone to appear on other platforms? This is disgusting. And it created a little mini scandal. And then, a few years later, it just appeared on mobile, and it was beautiful, pristine, smooth, everything you want in a game, and it landed on other platforms, and everyone's talking about it. And
the number of think pieces, the number of hey, this Breath of the Wild clone's not half bad. That you got from all the publications, quietly walking their criticism back. Yeah. Then played it, but it's got issues. It is obviously a free-to-play game, and it has things going on in it that maybe you do or don't like, but. Underneath it all, immaculate presentation, looks great, really accessible, actually works well on mobile. I don't feel shortchanged playing it on mobile. And one of those ones where you look at it and go, how does this look this good on a touch screen? It doesn't feel like it's been dumbed down, or you've got on the really bad low res version. You feel like you're playing the premium experience, and a lot of space to explore, a lot of nice bright colors, crazy characters. It's a good time. They've done well. So thank you ever so much for watching us today. Thank you for nominating all of those who did. We are delighted to have you take part in this, and hopefully join us for 2022. We're going to be nominating more games. Dan, you're going to be inundated with a whole bunch of emails again.
No doubt.
No doubt. But for those of you who watched, we love that you have taken part in this. Thank you so much for getting involved. Go over to PokeGamer.com, go over to PokeGamer.biz, click the links to get to the PG Awards, and check out PokeGamer Launchpad number 4, which will be streaming in the not too distant future, bookmarked for May. In the meantime, Dan, thank you so much for joining me for this.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. And everybody watching, take it easy, look after yourselves, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.